Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cinema Soundbytes. My name is Gillian Orwoll.
My name is Peter.
I'm Josh.
I'm Dennis.
All right, and today we are going to show 4 different songs that we've all composed using Spitfire's intimate strings.
The intimate strings, it's a chamber string section. It's 8 first violins, 6 second violins, 4 violas, 4 cellos, and 3 basses, which was recorded in Air Studios. And you get a close tree and vintage mic, which I think that's probably the coolest part of the library is those mic signals. Techniques you get are flautando, half section, harmonics.
There's col legno, there's your standard long and short, there's consort, which I think are really nice.
Consort is
long
with
and short
mute.
consorts, yeah.
Who wants to go first? Let's put Peter on the spotlight.
I just used the strings. I used like different articulations. So I think I used the col legno.
Col legno. You gotta
Col
do it
Legno.
Okay,
with
that's
the
what I
hand
thought.
motion too to be more Italian.
Guitar player, sorry.
Technically a string instrument.
I used the concertino, the harmonics, and I think I for the melody I used the half section to get even more intimate for the intimate strings. What I went for was using the vintage mics. I thought that was probably the most unique thing about it for me. I even added some lo-fi kind of elements to some of the tracks. You'll hear some crackle and all that.
Overall, how did you like using intimate strings? What were I guess the biggest question is what were the limitations?
Well, I really liked that sound it had, and I'm not sure I would use it over a different string library. If I want to go for that sound specifically, I would pull that out possibly. I think it was all right. It's definitely worth it to me because it's $30, and I think has a unique tone.
You had a very Henry Mancini kind of vibe going.
All right, I'll play mine next. I just composed mine in an hour earlier today, so it's pretty rushed, but sometimes that's good just to see how flexible an instrument is. And I just use the intimate strings, no other instruments.
Yeah, and that's one thing is this library has enough articulations that it works really well as a sketching tool for doing something in an hour really quickly and just getting music out there. And then later you could layer it with other things, to make it even more legit afterwards. Mm-hmm. So that's a good thing. I think that's a good view of what it, can be used as very quickly.
go. Short and sweet.
Like it.
So I use the flautando. Is that how you say it? Flautando, which is when you play the strings when you bow closer to the bridge, so you get more of a. It's not quite harmonics, and then it was nice going from the flautando to the normal strings, and it made the sound open up a little bit more. Kind of demonstrated that this is better for pads. It's not great for melodies.
I think the legato, the lack of legato, is what really takes away from making this like a melodic tool. I use other stuff besides intimate strings, but all the strings that you hear in this are intimate strings. But other stuff I used is like the Hephaestus Sounds Grand Coda piano, some BBC Symphony Orchestra stuff, and a little bit of East West.
Nice. Cool.
That one was awesome.
Forgot to mention there's also some Spitfire Labs and another originals, which is the Epic Brass and Wind. I used some of the woodwinds in there.
It's nice to hear them mixed in with other instruments. Definitely gives me a different kind of perspective.
And I think it does sound much more natural when it's like layered in. When you use like the full strings patches, it almost feels like a limitation. And this is nice to just start up and you can get everything in one, in one instance.
All right, Josh, you want to show us what you've come up with?
I've been on this attempting to learn drum and bass like thing lately, and because I feel like if I learn like how to do EDM music, that's a good thing because it's just another thing in your arsenal. And I thought that the intro to this would be a perfect opportunity to kind of showcase a string library because I needed like a string pad. And this can kind of show an EDM producer how they could probably use, something like intimate strings.
Makes me think of Smash Brothers Brawl, Sticker Bush Symphony.
Yeah,
Do you know the track?
I think I do. I know I totally get the vibe. Like I know what you're talking about. I don't know the exact track, but
Uh-huh.
yeah.
So, Josh, what role did independent strings play?
So one thing that's great in EDM that I've learned, so like some of my favorite EDM producers will introduce some sort of organic, real aspect to it, whether that's a recorded cello in my case, or in this case, a string pad rather than a synth pad.
Let's go through these 5 parameters we've come up with: playability, value, sound, realism, versatility. We'll all give a scale out of 5. All right. Okay. So let's start with playability. I said 3 because there's certain features I like, certain I didn't like. Maybe it's just because I didn't use it as much as I'd like to. Peter, what did you rate it?
I gave it a 4. I feel like it's pretty easy to open it up and kind of get some sounds.
I gave it a 4 for playability. Just because, like Peter said, it's easy to just open up and make some music.
For playability, I did a 4 because it's pretty playable.
All right. For value, I put 5. $29. You can't really beat that. And there's quite a few options, again, for $29.
I gave 5 out of 5. It's definitely worth $30 or 29.
Dennis.
Absolutely.
Definitely
5 out of
not
5.
worth 30. It's
Yeah, 29. 30 is unreasonable. 29 is fair.
Absolutely 5 out of 5. Which I would honestly, a lot of their originals, I would give 5 out of 5 for value.
Sound, I put 4 for its sound. I think it has some lovely qualities and tones to it. There's some aspects I don't love as much, but it definitely, it's not as wide a range of sounds as I'd like, but the sounds that they have are beautiful.
Cool. I gave it a 3 for sound. It's nice. It sounds good, but it's not something that like I hear and I'm like, oh, if that makes sense to anyone. When you just put something on, and you're like, shit, I need that.
I gave it a 4 for sound. As you can tell, I do use this in a lot of stuff, like I've said. So I don't know. I like it.
I would also do a 3 like Peter. For 30, it's hard because it's for $30, obviously it's amazing, but I'm putting it up against all the string libraries,
Yeah.
I'm leaving price out of this category, and so it's definitely on the sound. It could be better if it, just in a vacuum.
All right, for realism, I gave it a 3. And again, it's the difference between melody and pad like chords. For chords, I think especially when you're doing a track where this is in the background.
Yeah, I gave it a 2 out of 5 for realism. While I was writing my track, I began to try to treat it, I guess, like a real instrument, but then I started to think of it more like just like a synth.
For me, I'm rating this way higher than everyone else, but I gave it a 4 for realism, mostly because I don't know, the chamber sound is a lot harder to nail, in my opinion, with samples, and I think this definitely got it.
Yeah,
I did a 3. For what it does, it's pretty good.
For versatility, I gave it 3. It did have some different sounds. It had consort, it had flautando, it had long, it had pizzicato. I didn't love the pizzicato. I was originally going to use it, but I just did not like the sound of it.
Cool. I'm actually going to go ahead and give it a 5 because for me, I think it's really cool that they have those 3 mic signals. I haven't seen a cheap library to give you like that much control over the mix of the samples themselves.
I tried to leave the value out of the versatility. So I gave it a 4. It's good. It does its job and all, but the thing that prevents it from joining like the high ranks and everything is the fact that it doesn't have legato.
Mm-hmm.
And that really prevents it from being like, oh, get this as your string library.
I gave it a 3. I actually would have given it a 2, but the mic thing is also like the vintage mic is really cool sounding, and so that makes it a little more versatile. The only reason I gave it lower than what Dennis, it can't do everything, and like I have string libraries that can do everything.
Please hold while I calculate this.
For our audience back home, it's 10:30 at night, so we're not great at math.
The official CSB score for intimate strings is 76 out of 100, which is pretty
Hey,
good. You know,
that's-
Not bad.
Dude, for a $30 library, it's a C.
that's
you know?
a C. That's a C. I would argue like that's almost C plus.
And honestly, probably among the libraries of this price, if you had to like put them head to head, it's pretty solid. If you're starting out like looking for samples and you don't want to go spend $400-$500 on a library or more on a library, then start with this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Think of
Yeah,
it this way:
Point to start at.
get the Spitfire Labs, get the BBC Orchestra, and throw this on top of it. Got a lot going on there.
You can do a
For
lot
great
for free.
value.
Yeah.
Or cheap.
Or cheap. Yeah, this is not free.
All right, everybody, thank you for watching. This is Cinema Soundbytes. My name is Gillian Orwoll.
My name is Peter Scoma.
And I'm Josh.
And I'm Dennis Mowers.
Thanks for watching. All right, bye, everybody.